各位记者朋友
Friends from the media, good afternoon. Welcome to the press conference. First of all, I will release a piece of information. As agreed between China and the UK, the 11th China-UK Economic and Financial Dialogue will be held on January 11th in Beijing. It will be co-chaired by a member of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and Vice Premier of the State Council He Lifeng, and the British Chancellor of the Exchequer Rachel Reeves as the lead persons of the dialogue.
下面请大家提问。
The floor now is open for questions.
谢谢发言人。中央广播电视总台央视记者提问。
China just announced that Sri Lanka's President Anura Kumara Dissanayake will pay a state visit to China. Can you brief us on the program of the visit? How do you assess the current China-Sri Lanka relations? What does China expect to achieve through this visit? The upcoming visit will be President Anura Kumara Dissanayake's first visit to China after taking office, and is of great importance to the development of China-Sri Lanka relations. During the visit, President Xi Jinping will hold talks with President Anura Kumara Dissanayake and Premier Li Qiang and Chairman Zhao Leji of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress will meet with him respectively. China and Sri Lanka have long been each other's friend and close neighbor. Since our two countries established diplomatic ties in 1957, the bilateral relationship has stood the test of the changing international landscape, always maintained sound and steady growth, and set up a fine example of friendly relations and mutually beneficial cooperation between countries different in size. China stands ready to work with Sri Lanka through the upcoming visit to carry forward our time-honored friendship, deepen political mutual trust, and expand high-quality Belt and Road cooperation and practical cooperation in various fields for continuous new progress in advancing the China-Sri Lanka strategic cooperative partnership featuring sincerity, mutual support, and everlasting friendship, as well as more benefit for the two peoples. Next one, please.
Good afternoon. A question from Reuters. Please, could you?
路透社提问：您能否确认，像是印度还有尼泊尔这样离西藏很近的国家或地区，曾经给西藏提供这次震后的帮助吗？
关于西藏日喀则定日县地震的有关情况。
On the related information of this earthquake, we have introduced the disaster relief. Right now, we have the support in our rescue and medical support, and we would like to appreciate this assistance and support from the international community. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。中新社记者提问：那您刚才发布了何立峰副总理将与英国财政大臣。
To follow up on your announcement that Vice Premier He Lifeng and British Chancellor of the Exchequer Rachel Reeves will co-chair the 11th China-UK Economic and Financial Dialogue, which will be another round of dialogue after nearly 6 years. Can you share with us the background and China's expectation of the dialogue? China and the UK, by resuming the economic and financial dialogue, aim at implementing the important common understandings reached between President Xi Jinping and the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Established in 2008, this high-level dialogue mechanism has served as an important platform for dialogue and cooperation on strategic, overarching and long-term major issues in the economic and financial fields. Topics to be discussed during this dialogue include the macroeconomic policy and economic globalization, trade and investment, industrial cooperation, and the development of the financial market and cooperation on financial supervision. China and the UK are major economies and financial heavyweights in the world. Closer economic and financial exchanges and cooperation between the two countries serve their own interests, meet the expectation of all sectors, have significance to their economic growth and green development, and will inject more certainty and impetus to the world's economic growth. We hope that the two sides, through this dialogue, will explore cooperation potential for more practical outcomes of economic and financial cooperation between China and the UK. Next one, please.
Good afternoon. Mark Stewart from CNN. I'd like to
想问一个和 TikTok 有关的问题：美国高级法院做出了决定，中方是否会就这个决定对字节跳动提出一些指导意见呢？
问题。
On issues concerning TikTok, my colleagues and the Ministry of Commerce spokesperson have elaborated China's principled position time and again. Next one, please.
Thank you. Question from AFP.
法新社。金融时报报道，中方有可能派出蔡奇、韩正或者是王毅外长去参加特朗普总统的就职仪式，你能否证实并对此作出回应？
前没有可以发布的。
I have no information to share at the moment. Next one.
发言人好，总台央视中文国际频道记者提问。据报道，9号黎巴嫩举行总统选举，黎军总司令约瑟夫。
It was reported that Lebanon had held a presidential election on January 9th, and commander of the Lebanese armed forces, Joseph Aoun, was elected as president. What's China's comment on this?
中方对黎巴嫩
China welcomes Lebanon's election of a new president and congratulates President Joseph Aoun on his election. China and Lebanon enjoy a traditional friendship. China attaches importance to developing relations with Lebanon. We will, as always, support Lebanon in safeguarding national sovereignty and territorial integrity, and continue advancing the friendly ties and mutually beneficial cooperation in various areas for the continued growth of bilateral relations. Next one, please.
好的，谢谢发言人。北京日报记者提问：我们注意到近期外界十分关注。
Recently, there is a lot of attention on the increase in cases of human metapneumovirus HMPV in China. The health departments of certain countries issued prevention advice to their nationals. Some are concerned about the safety of traveling to China, and there are even claims about unknown virus in China on the internet. The World Health Organization said that China's reported levels of respiratory infections are within the usual range, and that HMPV is not a new virus but a common one. Many experts also said that there is no sign of a more serious global health issue. What's your comment? We've recently answered several relevant questions. Respiratory infections tend to peak during the winter season in the northern hemisphere, and influenza viruses are common pathogens. The overall scale and intensity of respiratory infectious diseases in China this year are lower than last year. Regarding the human metapneumovirus you mentioned, as we have learned from the competent authorities, it is not a new virus. HMPV has circulated in humans for at least 60 years and is a common virus that causes acute respiratory infections. For most people, HMPV infections are self-limited. Calling this common virus unknown virus basic science and is essentially fear-mongering. The Chinese government takes seriously the health of its own people and foreign nationals living in China. China's competent authorities and technical agencies took proactive steps to carry out sentinel surveillance for various acute respiratory infectious diseases and release surveillance results. Chinese disease control experts have told the public on multiple occasions how to take science-based protective steps. Also, China and WHO stay in close and regular touch and share timely information on respiratory diseases. We will continue to do what's necessary and do our best to make sure it's comfortable, safe, and convenient for domestic and foreign travelers in China. It is also important for everyone to make a common effort for personal and family health. Next one, please.
Thank you. Another question from AFP.
昨天，德国的检察官表示，他们对3名中国人进行了起诉，他们涉嫌获取一些技术，参与间谍行动，有可能用于军事的目的。你对此有何评论？
关于你提到的问题，
On what you have mentioned, we have responded to this. I would like to reiterate that China always believes that we should respect each other and not interfere in others' internal affairs in developing China-German relations. In respecting the laws and regulations, we will promote the mutually beneficial cooperation with Germany. We hope that Germany will stop hyping up the spy risk of China and not set the obstacles for the healthy and stable development of China-German relations. Next one, please.
还有其他问题吗？
Any other questions?
Another question from Reuters.
Could
you repeat your question, please?
US and Danish officials lobbied the developer of Greenland's largest rare earths deposit last year not to sell its project to Chinese-linked firms, its CEO told Reuters.
据消息人士称，美国和丹麦方面正在试图要求格陵兰岛最大的一家储存商不要将其业务和中国进行联系。你对此有回应？
I'm not aware of what you have mentioned. Next one, please. Other questions?
好，今天的记者会到此结束。谢谢。
This is the end of today's news press conference. Thank you.